Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. When you gaze into the beady eyes of Mario, the abyss gazes also into you. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. So today is all about Mario, Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Right.
Releases tomorrow.
We're very
Super
excited.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a Zelda-related question for you.
Bring it on.
That I've been considering today. So finish this sentence for me.
Okay.
Today at work, I hugged a Goron, and it felt like
Rocks.
rocks.
Yeah.
It makes sense because they're from the Earth, right?
Yeah,
but-
and they eat rocks,
but
and you are what you eat.
But I always pictured in my head
Okay.
that they'd be, I don't know that furry is the right word, but like fleshy at least. Not
okay.
like hugging a boulder.
Not like hugging a boulder. Even on like their backs, because they roll around.
Right. I know they have rock things. No, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Okay.
That they are, because
But you don't want to live in that world.
there's something about it. It makes them less
Cute, less cuddly.
lovable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they're like hearing music and dancing, like even if that's what's happening, even if they're like sumo wrestling you, that makes them less lovable.
Well, see, but that's the thing. They're not really like sumo wrestling you at that point. They're just kind of hitting you with rocks.
No, okay. Well, here's Mark. Here's what I think it is.
Okay.
I think their backs and sides are like rocky, but I think they've got fleshy underbellies.
I can live with this.
Okay.
I can live with. I don't think it's right canonically,
What?
but I can live with it.
Well, because when they curl up in a ball, there's no reason for like their belly and chest to be hard.
I agree with you. I think canonically they are just, and maybe that isn't true. Maybe it's different from game to game.
That's true. It may be different from game to game.
Yeah.
We know that in some versions, that their nipples are not covered over with rocks, right? That you can see their nipples.
You can't see their nipples
In
but
Twilight
we don't
Princess.
But we don't know the consistency of their nipples.
That's
They
true.
could be.
They could have glass nipples. That's true.
They could be rocks. They could be really hard.
Yeah. What got you thinking about this?
I was watching. What was I watching? Something on YouTube. And
Also, did you start the scenario with you're at work?
yeah, today at work.
Today at work, I hugged a Goron.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Well, I guess I'm just assuming in that scenario you're a veterinarian who works in a neighborhood that has a lot of Goron customers, and you had to put one of their pets down, and so you were hugging
So you
it.
hugged the Goron.
You were giving him
got
comfort.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that the Goron was someone's pet.
No, too
No,
sad.
that's ridiculous.
A pet rock? Not in this world.
Sure. So a Goron brings in a Shih Tzu. You got to put the
You
Shih
had to
Tzu
put it down. You had to hug it.
Right? Yeah.
What is the consistency? What
Right.
does that feel like?
Right.
Explain it to me.
Right.
That was the question.
Okay.
What were we talking about?
I was asking you why you were thinking about this.
Oh, I was watching a YouTube video. Oh, this is what it was. So I was watching a YouTube video today when I was eating lunch by Zeltic,
Mhm.
and he did a video a few years ago that was ranking the champions from Breath of the Wild
Sure.
as far as like strength goes. So which one is the strongest? And when he was talking about Daruk, the Goron champion,
Yeah.
he was just casually mentioning how, Gorons, they're made out of rock. And like it shook me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I guess it makes sense, but I just imagine them to be like you said, like sumo wrestlers.
Let's just real quick do a quick round of the rest of the like Zelda races, and just because I just want to make sure that because that does shake me a little bit to my core too, that we're like, wait a minute, what do these things actually feel like? Maybe the rest fall pretty easily. The Zora, they feel like, are they scaly?
Are they scaly? Are they like porpoises?
Oh,
Or they're like sharks, right? They would be like sharks.
yeah. I mean, some
So,
of them,
like,
some of them are
smooth
very
and slippery?
shark-like. Yeah. Okay. That's probably right. So less scaly and more smooth and slippery. Kind of always wet.
I do damp for sure. I think they'd be really uncomfortable if they get too warm.
The Rudo are all feathery, so that's
Mhm.
there's really no ambiguity there.
Yeah, like hugging a swan, I imagine.
And then a lot of the rest of them have skin, so that's like the Gerudo and Hylians.
Yeah, so it'd just be like hugging your mom.
What about a Korok?
Oh,
Are they wooden?
yeah, I think they
Or
are.
are they kind of mossy? They have
No,
like a mossy covering on them.
I think they probably have moss growing on some of them because you
But
know
it's just
they're
like
hiding all
moss.
day.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
moss.
fair enough.
I think they themselves are wooden.
Well, there we go. I think we got to the bottom of what the texture of the skin of the various creatures in The Legend of Zelda are. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where you can get, if you choose to support us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you can get access to our once-a-month episodes of various miniseries that we are doing. We are currently working our way through NCS Goes Broadway. Next month, we are going to be talking about
Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors, which will be the season finale for NCS Goes Broadway.
Which means that
Which
it is
means-
time to vote on what the next miniseries is going to be. So if you are a member of the Patreon at any level, a poll is up right now for you to choose the fate of the show.
Dun 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 dun. We've got 3 options up there. Should we run through these options real quick?
Sure.
Okay, the options are NCS Arcade, where we're going to be playing games that are on Nintendo Switch Online that Mark and I have never beaten before. So new experiences for us only. You'll be able to play along with those. NCS Rankorama, where you suggest categories and we rank them in meticulous detail. And then NCS Detective Club Season 2, we return to the case and watch some new shows and possibly detective movies. We don't know.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those could be super fun, and so we need your help in guiding us.
And you have until October 28th at 11:59 p.m. to get your votes in. Make sure that you are voicing your preference. And then we also have a Discord where people can go and talk about Nintendo stuff. All you got to do to get in that Discord is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. We will send you an invitation. You click on that link, you're in there. You have a great time talking with us. It's the best place to talk about Nintendo stuff on the internet.
Especially with Super Mario Brothers Wonder coming out.
Yes, people are going to have all kinds of thoughts and be discovering all kinds of things. So get in there. It is a good time. All right, Mark. In honor of Super Mario Brothers Wonder, let's rank the Mario designs. Now, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, a very distinct visual style.
Yeah, introduces a new look
Yeah.
for Mario.
Which especially for Mario period, but like for the 2D Mario games in particular, seems like past due.
Yeah, we've
right?
been living in a new Super Mario Brothers world for over a decade at this point.
For a real long time. And it used to be that like every 2 years or something, Mario would look different. And some of that is technology related, right? But a lot of other ways it is not. So we're going to go through and first I think we need to establish what the various designs are and also what we mean, right? So first of all, we're just talking about Mario. Right? So it's just there's obviously a whole world that gets attached to each one of these games, but Mario himself, what does he look like in these games?
That's right. And also, to your point, basically every Mario game has slight variations to the model or
Right.
like the details and that sort of thing. And so we aren't going to be covering literally every Mario game ever.
Right. And some of these I think we're kind of collapsing into one. That new Super Mario Brothers style, that's going to be one entry.
Exactly. And so we can decide which entry we're going to use, but the Nintendo DS New Super Mario Brothers looks I won't say very, but like looks different than New Super Mario Brothers U. But we'll probably just choose one from the series to be like the entry.
Yeah, well, and that mostly like just comes down to like fidelity. It's not a design choice that's different. It's just like what the machine can actually put out.
Yeah.
Right. But that's that. This is an important part here. There's obviously a lot of extra material that goes with these games, where either you're seeing them on like a title screen or the cover of a box or the side of an arcade cabinet, and that's not what we're talking about. We are not talking about that like long nose drawing of Mario climbing up the scaffolding in on the Donkey Kong cabinet.
Yeah, where he looks like a 1930s cartoon character.
He looks amazing, and I wish we were talking about that, but we're not. We're just talking about the actual sprites themselves, the Mario that you control.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then because we are limiting ourselves to the Mario that you control, we are not going to be talking about any Mario Brothers movie, any Mario Brothers animated series, any manga, comics, anything like that. We're talking strictly games here.
Yep.
And look, Mario makes a lot of cameo appearances in things. And so even if he is like technically playable in Alleyway because he's driving that ship, we're not talking about him in Alleyway here.
Yeah, he won't be on the list.
So just throw that idea out, okay? We're talking about like mainline Mario games, maybe like plus a little something else. Are those enough caveats? Have we properly?
I think we've set the stage well, and I'm sure we'll come up with some extra caveats as we go through this.
Oh, I mean, 100%. And there are. Should we also address these like the things that we are expressly not including here?
Yes.
Okay, so first and foremost, Super Mario Brothers Wonder looks great. I'm very excited to watch that version of Mario run around on the screen. I have not played the game yet.
Yeah, too new. Someday we will come back and update this definitive ranking to include it.
Right, but as of right now, Super Mario Brothers Wonder not on this list.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. The game isn't released yet.
Right,
It's only fair.
There we go. So it's only released games. And then we are also not counting the Super Mario Advanced versions of Super Mario Brothers 2, 3, and World. Similarly, we are not counting the All-Stars version of Super Mario Brothers 2 USA and Super Mario Brothers 3, even though they are all different.
Yeah, we went into All Stars before we started recording just to kind of refresh ourselves. And it's just interesting how, like, in All Stars, that there are so many variations. Like, Super Mario Brothers 3 has a really specific look that for All Stars, they were like, yeah, let's try to carry that over as much as possible.
It's the whites of his eyes, which for whatever reason, they add whites to Mario's eyes in Super Mario Brothers 1 and 2. And I think there actually are whites in Mario's eyes in Mario 2 on NES. But they don't in the Advance or All-Stars versions of Super Mario Brothers 3. No whites to his eyes.
Yeah, and I think it is to kind of like match the... So my guess is what they were trying to do with All-Stars is as much as possible make Mario look like the Mario from Super Mario Brothers World.
Mario World, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Super Mario World, which also has, like, whites in his eyes, but Super Mario Brothers 3 does not.
Right, and that design is, like, so clear or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is exactly about it, where they were like, no, we just
leave that.
We leave him that way. So, yes, Wonder, not included on this list. Advance, not included on this list. All-Stars, not included on this list. Any further caveats, or have we now done everything and we have nothing left to do but the hard work of actually ranking these things?
Well, I guess we've got to figure out what exactly it is we'll be ranking. We have a list here that we should go through and gut check, I think. Just make sure that we are good with including all of these.
Right. We have cards that will be helping us, but we have not made out the cards yet because I think there's going to be some like wiggle room here where things get like combined together or separated further or what have you.
So I do feel confident writing down Donkey Kong. I think the Mario from Donkey Kong is worthy of discussion.
And that is just that itty bitty sprite. He never becomes. This is not unique necessarily, as we'll hit a couple more of these. But he never becomes Super Mario. So we never really get to see what that Mario looks like as Big Mario. But so yeah, that'll be the Mario from Donkey Kong, also from Donkey Kong Jr. Yeah. So that is who that will be. The next item that we have on the list here is Wrecking Crew.
Now, do we count this?
I don't know, because the character is Mario, but it is like not a Mario design, right? He's wearing a yellow hard hat, and like just doesn't feel like the character at all. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he goes on here, or that he doesn't go on here?
I don't really think. It almost feels like a retcon that it's Mario. You know what I mean?
Ooh, boy.
I don't know if that's true.
I mean,
That's just what it feels like.
I think it's always been Mario.
Well, let's count it, and it'll just be low. Let's just be honest.
All right, yes, it'll be like at the very, very bottom. And then next up is Mario Bros. Original arcade Mario Bros. Very similar. Well, I was going to say very similar to the Donkey Kong design, but it's kind of not. They like kind of let him be lumpier, right?
Right.
Like our arcade Mario Bros is like he's just got like more of a gut.
Yeah, and there is a certain the pudginess
Yes.
of Mario also changes kind of depending on the context, depending on the game.
All right. So those three of like the arcade / early NES era, pretty unimpeachable, and I don't think we can necessarily combine them with anything. And those are that's it. That's all we're gonna do from sort of that era.
Yeah.
And now I think we need to move into the Super Mario Brothers series.
Which I think like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2 USA, Super Mario Brothers 3, and Super Mario World are all going to be distinct entries.
Yes, I will agree with that. I think you can probably just shorten them SMB on the cards.
Certainly make writing it down easier.
Yes, and of course the Super Mario Brothers like OG. That's also going to include the Lost Levels because they use the exact same sprites for them. Super Mario World, the last one here. All right, great. And we will obviously talk about the various features of those characters. Then we've got the Super Mario Land games. So we've got the original Super Mario Land, which is kind of a take on the like Super Mario Brothers sprite, but it's just in black and white. And then the Super Mario Land sprite, Super Mario Land 2, sprite, which is kind of a riff on the Super Mario World sprite, but it is different enough, and it's in the Game Boy like monochrome that I think we have to count it.
Up next is Super Mario RPG, which
Yep.
This is another one where the remake isn't out yet, so we're not including it. It's just going to be the
Right.
Super Nintendo version.
Which, if you can't immediately recall that, is sort of doing the same thing that Donkey Kong Country did with these like pre-rendered graphics that make it look like it's a 3D model, but like it's very obviously not. So there's a lot of for me, I know nostalgia that's going to play into that. And I'm going to try to rank it too high. So it's your job to stop me.
Then we have Super Mario 64, which is a very distinct looking Mario.
Yeah, lots of triangles on this guy, right?
And then what do we do about Super Smash Brothers?
Well, actually, before we move on to Super Smash Brothers, I just want to address Super Mario 64 DS. Even though those models are different, I think we're just lumping that in with Super Mario 64, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then Smash Brothers, I feel like those designs are borrowed from other games, right?
And we determined that it's not a Mario game.
Whoa, we did determine that. Yeah, I say throw it out. I say no Smash.
And I think this is the only time that this will ever be true, but I think we're lumping it in with the sports games and like Mario Party. We're just not gonna account for it.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, and I mean, with the exception of maybe the Strikers games, all the other like Mario Sports and Smash designs are like taken from other versions, right?
I mean, I genuinely couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
they're all just kind of generically Mario to me.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm removing Smash Brothers from the list, which means then we are moving on to Paper Mario. an adorable design.
Definitely a unique take on the character.
And again, we know that there are different like renderings of the Paper Mario, but I think we're just taking holistically Paper Mario.
Yeah.
Next up is the Mario and Luigi Mario. So from the GBA, DS, and 3DS games. One thing I always find very intriguing about like this version of the character is that he feels more like a cartoon character to me. Like
it is.
He's
yeah.
always rendered it more like just in like a kind of 2D expressive kind of style.
Kind of
there.
looks like a Mario children's book.
It does,
on it.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and on all the covers, except for the Dream Team, Mario and Luigi both don't appear to have mouths. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Luigi
like some weird body horror Cronenberg.
I think it's
type,
just
like
that the
Mario
mustaches
thing.
are so big that it covers
sure.
it up.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Like a cartoon character.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
The reason that Luigi does appear to have a mouth and not be a Cronenberg horror is that he's yawning on the cover of Dream Team. So, all right. And then the next thing we have here is listed as modern 3D Mario. Would you care to explain what that is?
So, we have Sunshine, you have Galaxy and Galaxy 2, and you have Odyssey.
Yeah.
And these games all have different versions of Mario. And so, like, and Sunshine is, like, he's wearing short sleeves. Or his sleeves are rolled up.
He's on vacation.
I think they're short sleeves. So, like, it is a different version. And so I'm not sure if we need to count them separately or if this is a, like, new Super Mario Brothers thing where we're kind of just saying, I mean, maybe we're picking Odyssey or something as this is 3D Mario.
Except I would push back against, because I could see the argument for lumping Galaxy and Sunshine together, but Odyssey is very different. His nose moves differently. He's got more realistic, like, hair on his face, and, like, the design for Super Mario Odyssey is, like, distinct to me. So I mean, maybe we need to pull out all three. And just
maybe
be like,
we do need to.
Sunshine, Galaxy, and Odyssey.
I think that's right.
Would be my my preference there. Which brings us then to the new Super Mario Brothers / Super Mario Brothers Run / just what Mario has looked like for the last 10 years. And that obviously just goes on there. New. Great. Now we run into another question here. Super Mario 3D World. Are those distinct designs, or is he just looking like new Super Mario Brothers?
My instinct is to include it in New Super Mario Brothers.
I'm just looking at the design of these characters, like, side by side. Yeah, I don't think I would be able to tell, like, what game they were from if it didn't say on this thing that we're looking at specifically. Yeah, I think new includes the 3D games, so both 3D Land and 3D World. It's all just kind of the same design.
Yeah. I mean, here's the one thing I will say.
Yeah.
Again, looking at the reference that we have, so New Super Mario Brothers U, the overalls are a darker blue than Super Mario 3D World, but is that just down to lighting?
I think that might just be down to lighting. Yeah. Because, like, if you look at the shadow cast, like, by his belly on his leg, that looks to be the same color, and maybe he's cast in shadow by the Yoshi that he's riding.
Yeah.
In New Super Mario Brothers U. Yeah, I think it's but then I also have to be like, well, how different is that from the look of Galaxy?
Right. And I don't know that it is. So maybe what we need... Okay,
yeah, what do we need?
Okay.
Mark, tell me what we need.
Here's a pitch.
Okay.
Is that we keep Sunshine as separate.
Okay.
We keep Odyssey as separate.
All right.
And instead of Galaxy, we just call it, like, generic 3D Mario model, or whatever, however we want to name it.
Right. So are we saying that so Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, 3D Land, 3D World and new altogether, or do we leave new in a separate category and Galaxy and the 3D games are kind of lumped into one?
Oh boy. Maybe we lump them all together.
Here's maybe an argument against it. As we discuss the design of Mario in Mario Sunshine, are we also including the design of Flood? Is that part of the Mario design? I think it has to be.
Okay.
And to that extent, does the Luma that follows Mario around in the Galaxy games, is that also included as part of his design?
I suppose it is.
I suppose it would have to.
Okay, so what we are doing, I
Yes,
think,
yes.
is keeping Galaxy, Sunshine, and Odyssey separate.
Yes.
But we are lumping 3D World and 3D Land in with the new Super Mario Brothers games.
Yeah, which feels a little bit like giving short shrift to the 3D games, but like honestly, they look like the designs are basically the same
Yeah.
as the new games.
Here's another thing that we are not accounting for, because I do think 3D World kind of forces the issue, is transformations. We're talking about generic, vanilla, running around Mario.
Oh, interesting.
Not
Okay.
cat transformations,
Right,
not when he
right.
turns into like a squirrel suit.
Right. No
I guess he
propeller
doesn't turn
hats.
into a squirrel suit.
No,
He's wearing a squirrel
he puts it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although he does like adopt some as a cat, he adopts some cat-like behavior.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a good point. Is Bowser's Fury is also getting lumped in with
3D World.
with the 3D World
I
and
guess,
and
yeah.
new designs.
Uh-huh.
So that's where all of that goes. Also want to quickly acknowledge here, yeah, there's a ton of like Game & Watch designs, the playable like little, they're not sprites, but whatever they are, that we can't, we're rejecting that information.
We're mere mortals.
We are mere mortals. We've got a pretty big pile here of things to rank. Mark, let's start at the bottom.
Okay.
Wrecking Crew.
I do think Wrecking Crew is pretty rough. The other one that I would put down at the bottom is Land. I think Mario from the original Super Mario Land is bad looking.
Yeah, he's tough, and he's tough in the same way that like the like original Super Mario Brothers, or the original, really like all of the everything before Super Mario Brothers 2. I feel like all of those are pretty rough, except the fact that the original Super Mario Brothers is so freaking iconic.
That's the thing. It's iconic. All right, I'm about to say something that maybe I'll wish I was able to take back in the future. I'm sick of looking at it.
Whoa!
I don't think it's. I mean, yeah, it's like it is iconic.
Yeah,
for sure.
But you're sick of looking
I
at
don't
it.
want to look at it anymore. I don't think it's that good looking.
You're sick of looking at it?
I'm kind of sick of looking at it.
Okay, well, let's talk about because I think that the rest of the bottom of the list here is going to be these like other 8-bit sprites, right? Right?
Yeah.
So like the regular old Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong sprites feel like they're going to be towards the bottom. Would you have a preference of one over the other?
I have a little bit more affinity for Donkey Kong than I do for Mario Brothers.
I do as well. So just the thing about the Donkey Kong sprite is that, or like the way that I think it is different from the Mario Brothers sprite. The Mario Brothers sprite, he looks dumpy, doesn't he?
He does.
Like it's one where like his overalls don't appear to fit him quite right. You know when the overalls, the straps, when the suspenders on the overalls are like too long and like the bib is like way too
That's exactly
low.
the problem with it. So like in Donkey Kong, Mario, and even the 1985 Super Mario Brothers sprite that I don't want to ever look at it ever again.
Ever again.
The overalls are like high and tight. So yeah, he's got a big belly, but it's all snug in there.
Yeah.
The Mario Brothers one, they're just ill-fitting overalls.
They are ill-fitting overalls. It is the first time that we see him with jean-colored overalls, which I gotta say, a big thing for me. I love seeing the overalls be blue and the shirt be red, even though that's like not part of the most iconic Mario appearances in Super Mario Brothers and in Donkey Kong.
Yeah, also the Super Mario Brothers sprite, like he's not really wearing a blue shirt. right? He's wearing
That's true.
He's wearing a hair-colored shirt.
That's right. Or a shoe-colored shirt.
Or a shoe-colored shirt. And I understand the limitations of the technology. I just don't want to have to look at it.
Wow, man, this is some like harsh truths that you're spitting here. So what do you think? Where would you put the Super Mario Brothers?
So tentatively, I would put it just kind of like in the middle.
In the middle of what?
So above Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Because, and we'll see what else like slides into place. But,
Okay, sure.
But at this moment, it's the best of like this.
It's the
lower
king of the
grouping.
garbage pile. Okay,
That's right.
we're not really tiering these at the moment. That doesn't feel right.
No, I
Does it?
feel it doesn't feel necessary right now.
Right.
And I've got to say, I do think probably the Super Mario Brothers sprite will make it higher in the end. I can't imagine it will maintain this placement, but I just got to speak my truth.
Sure. Well, okay. Should we grab others that we think are going to be low, or at this point just start like grabbing things indiscriminately and matching them up against what we have on the board already?
Yeah, let's
or should we travel forward through time and do Super Mario Brothers USA next?
So I like the Super Mario Brothers 2 look. This is where I think like Mario begins to be a little bit more fully formed, and that's where Land is a step back, right? You have Super Mario Brothers 2 looking much more like Mario, how you think of him, and then Land, he's back to just kind of being dumpy.
So let's put these two. Let's put Super Mario Brothers USA and Super Mario Brothers 3 up next to each other, because I think they like vie for a similar place in my heart. Where I spent a lot of time playing as these renderings of these characters. And I don't know, which one do you like better?
I think that looking at them side by side, I think Super Mario Brothers 2 recalls Super Mario World design. And I like the Super Mario World design a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
but
possible spoilers for the end of this episode. I feel like Super Mario World could go all the way.
It's a very good Mario.
Yes.
Super Mario Brothers, is that the one you told me that I have to anchor a little bit? Which is the one that you said you liked a lot and that I need to be the voice of reason on?
Oh, no. No, 64.
Oh, 64. Okay. So I like Super Mario Brothers 2, but I think I like it because it reminds me of Super Mario World. Whereas I think Super Mario Brothers 3, even though Mario has beady little eyes, is more...
No whites on these eyes.
No whites on these eyes. Is more... I was going to say iconic. I don't really think that's true, but it recalls my childhood immediately when I see it.
Can we talk just a little bit about like the way those Marios move? Because like there is a little bit of... when Mario USA is moving around, the way his little like feet kind of like shake around, like I know Luigi is like the king of the like flutter kick in that, but like Mario started doing it too. I just feel like the walk animation in Super Mario Brothers 3 is more compelling. He's like kind of swaying from side to side as he walks. He's doing the Mario. So like in motion, I think I definitely prefer the Super Mario Brothers 3 to USA, but kind of in isolation here, I don't know which way to go.
I know, it's really hard. I'm guessing that in the timeline of releases, Super Mario Brothers 3 was finished with development by the time that USA got going, and so that's why USA has I'll say better sprite than Super Mario Brothers 3. And the fact that I articulated it like that, maybe it does mean that Super Mario Brothers 2 USA is the better sprite.
Here's the thing. I just want us to draw attention to the suspenders on his overalls. Kind of low.
They are?
They're kind of low.
Dangerous Mario Brothers territory.
Yeah. So, like, let's just think about that. I'm comfortable putting 2 over 3.
Okay.
Even though, like, there's just so much more variety, obviously, to the way that, 3 has... We said we're not counting them, but 3 has so many more transformations. Mario looks like so many other awesome things in 3 than he does in 2. 2, he doesn't change at all.
Yeah.
Right? but just the basic design, I think 2 has got to be better than 3. And I think Super Mario Land has to slot in here, or Super Mario Land 2, sorry, has to slot in here somewhere.
Yes.
Because it is, again, basically just it's like they take the exact same design principles of World and just do it on the Game Boy.
And I think it works.
They do a pretty good job.
They
with
do
it,
a pretty good job. I think it's better than Super Mario Brothers 2 and Super Mario Brothers 3. The World one is just so good.
The World one is fantastic.
And so it's like, oh yeah, they're doing a version of that. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just sort of like line these up. So we got Land 2 above Super Mario Brothers 2 and Super Mario World above Super Mario Land 2.
One thing I like about Land 2 is that Mario seems to be a little more pitched forward than he is in World. Like he's a little more, almost like he's a boxer. You know, he's ready for action.
Yeah.
In a way that in World he's a little more back. He's a little more like.
Well, sometimes
reserved.
as a boxer, you got to lean back a little bit. You got to like draw out your opponent's punches.
He has
so
posture.
then they're leaning forward, and then you can just take them down.
He is in an era where he has posture to die for. In Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World, he is like straight up.
Yeah.
You know, there's no bend in that Mario. But then in Land 2, he's like a little bit.
He's a little hunched
he's a little going for it.
Right. Maybe taking cues from Bob Hoskins at this point.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Speaking of cues from Bob Hoskins, let's talk Super Mario 64. This blocky fella really wanted to swear there. So many polygons making up this Mario.
So many and yet so few.
That is honestly what I meant. But there's look, there are a few costumes in. I wonder where we ranked it actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, in Super Mario Odyssey, that are as like exciting and transformative as the Mario 64 costume, where you can just run around as this low poly Mario.
There's also something about the first time we saw Mario in 3D.
Yeah.
And the only time he's ever looked like this.
Yes, truly the only time he's ever looked like this. But let's try to take our nostalgia goggles off.
There's no denying that it is rough.
It is rough, yes. It is probably the roughest, not the roughest, but like, it is rough.
Yeah, I mean, Land, I think, is probably, once we get out of the Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers era.
I'm sorry, for some reason, Wrecking Crew got above Super Mario Land, and that's a mistake. Okay. Yeah, once we get to the Super
Mario Brothers era, like, Land is not looking that good. And Super Mario 64's design brings me a lot of joy, but it is just objectively not that good looking.
Right. So let's rank it among. Let's compare it to Super Mario Brothers, the sprite that you said you never want to see again.
Well, I like 64 more. I think
you like 64 more than that. Okay, 64 versus Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, I do. I think I like it more than 3.
Do you like it more than 2?
Yes.
More than 2. More than Super Mario Land 2.
Yeah, I think I would rank it under World.
So World. So I definitely agree that World is better than 64. Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on that Super Mario Land 2. I'm not really sure how I feel about where that should land, because in some ways it's like World sub B, right? Like
yeah, it's so
close.
Derivative.
Yeah.
And it is different, not just in being like black and white. It is different, but it is so close.
It is so the same
that it's really hard to determine where it should go. Like, is it because it's so close? Does that make it worse? Like, does that make it like bad? Like, should we value Donkey Kong, just as an example, over it?
Because it is like doing more.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing. no matter what, we're ranking Mario's here, right? So there's going to be a lot of these that are squeakers, I think,
I
and
think
that
so.
where the distinction is going to be arbitrary but definitive as we rank them. So yeah, but do we want to reward it or punish it for being too much like World?
Well, while we're considering that,
Yes.
I feel like I owe it to you
Yeah.
to explain what I mean by I don't want to see the Super Mario Brothers Mario ever again, because that's a pretty strong statement.
I think you're going to be explaining that to me for the rest of your life.
I think what it is that I just feel like it's overexposed. Like there is no it doesn't bring me with good reason.
Right. I mean, such things happen to icons, right?
Yeah. It like with absolutely such good reason. It is iconic. But when I see it now, it doesn't really bring me joy in the way the looking at some of these other ones do. And I think that is novelty factor, right? Like the Super Mario Brothers Mario is everywhere. It's on,
Yes.
like Nintendo has been using it a lot. There was like the whole Mario 35 just a few years ago. It appears on any merchandise that is related to Mario most of the time. Like when they're doing throwback stuff, it's always that 1985 low res Mario design, right? They're not
that is the sprite Mario that appears on stuff.
They're not putting Super Mario World on Uniqlo shirts. They're not putting Super Mario Land on Uniqlo shirts, right?
They would if they wanted me to buy them.
It's like the Mario.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think I'm just tired of seeing it. Like, and so I think
so you never want to see it again.
I never want to see it again. Until it can like put it in the vault for a while and then bring it out again, and I'll be excited for it.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
That's your feeling. That's what your gut says.
Yeah.
But as for right now, it is resting between Donkey Kong and Super Mario Brothers 3,
which I think is an okay place.
Pretty
for
good company. All right, next up, so we've placed Super Mario 64 under Super Mario World and above Super Mario Land 2, which all seems like pretty high. Those seem like they're going to be pretty high, but let's keep like cruising here. I think next, chronologically speaking, would be Super Mario RPG. Now, this was the one that I said I'm going to rank irrationally high, because I love the way this stupid thing looks. It is not part of our visual guide here, but Mark, do you have much experience with this sprite?
So I remember renting Super Mario RPG. That was like my first experience with it. And I like how cute it is. Like it kind of reminds me of that. And I guess this actually makes sense why I'm making these connections. It reminds me a lot of the Mario and Luigi kind of like storybook illustrations that we talked about.
Okay.
Like I can see the evolution from Super Mario RPG sprites to the look of Mario and Luigi.
Interesting. I guess I can see that evolution too.
They're very like childlike.
Yeah.
Very like approachable in that way.
Yes, I would agree with that. There is God, it's so interesting that like now, because this remake is coming out, it is actually kind of a tough thing to Google to just like get a quick reminder of what the character looks like. Yeah, that's thank you, Mark, for sharing your computer with me. Yeah, I don't know. There's that pre-rendered thing I feel like doesn't age particularly well, right? That even the if we were doing this with designs of Donkey Kong, which would be a fool's errand, that the like Donkey Kong Country would just have to rank low, right?
Right.
I don't know. What are you thinking? Do you think you like this? Let's start with versus Super Mario Brothers 2. Worse, right? I think probably worse than 3.
This is challenging for me because I feel like their goals are so different.
Okay.
Like the design in Super Mario like 3 and Super Mario Brothers 2, they don't share the space in the same way that they do in Super Mario RPG. and so they're not as like Super Mario RPG. Mario is not as big and as like detailed and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
because he's on equal footing with the
He's
other characters in the party.
He's part of the world instead of like the one thing you have
Instead
to
of
keep
the
track
focus,
of. Yeah. As you're running through the world as fast as you can. That is interesting. Because he is also like a fairly and this is like in how they animate him and like the stories they choose to tell with him, but like he does a lot of like act outs of individual moments when like telling other characters what happened, and it's always adorable to watch him like do these things. So that may make him special in those contexts, but like I don't know, the Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3 both accomplish what they set out to do incredibly well.
Right. But okay, so setting aside, I think all of that is valid and worthy of consideration. Setting that aside, like, which one do I like looking at more? Which one do I think is... Well, which one do I think is cuter? I think Super Mario RPG is cuter.
Yeah, I'll agree
in
with that.
like a puppy type way.
Okay, so in like a way that a thing is very cute.
Exactly.
Ah.
This is where this is going to get tricky because up to this point we were kind of comparing like to like,
right? But
and now we're beginning to introduce.
We're falling out of that. Yeah.
So I definitely think, this is kind of a cop out, but between RPG and 64, they share similarities, and I like 64 better.
So we are putting it below 64, which bumps Super Mario Land 2 down a peg. I think it's okay. I think it's good to see some daylight between Super Mario World and Super Mario Land 2 because they're so similar, but seeing what difference color and that little bit of posture makes, I think is important.
Yes.
And of course, all of this is subject to change as we move these things around. Let's continue down the timeline a little bit to Sunshine is next.
Or I guess Paper Mario technically would be next because it debuted on
Great point.
64.
Yep. I think the Paper Mario design is fantastic.
I think Paper Mario is very good as well. It kind of gets the best of everything because it is a 2D render, but can be super expressive.
Yes.
And so it gets some of like what we like about RPG and about the 3D models.
Yes.
Even more expressive than like 64 can be because it has that illustrated look to it.
Totally. Well, and it's like, I've said a couple times that like this is when Mario becomes more like a cartoon character, but he is like legitimately a cartoon character in this.
100%.
So where do I think pretty high. I think we're saying higher than 64.
Yeah.
Higher than World? Highest so far? Or below World? I think tentatively below World, above 64.
Below World.
Yeah. Now let's go to Sunshine.
Okay.
Which means we got Flood. It means we've got this like big belt that he attaches Flood to himself with.
And we got short sleeves.
And we got short sleeves. Which weird look. It's a weird look on Mario, right?
It is a weird look, yeah. I don't think we'd see that much Mario flesh until he took off his shirt in Odyssey.
And we never will again because you all got weird about it.
Including us.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of love for Sunshine in general.
I really like Sunshine, and but if you had asked me before, we started putting this list together, did Mario have short sleeves? I don't think I could have told you, right? Like Flood is really
that's the overwhelming design component
thing.
Yeah,
and it's not even really. I mean, we're counting it, but it's not really Mario. It's just an accessory he has.
Well, it's an accessory that like I think has a soul, right? Like it talks to you and like has its own wants and right.
Does it have its own wants? That's an interesting question. Like, what is Flood's opinion about... I think Flood's wants mirror Mario's wants. Like, I don't think...
Get rid of the goo.
Yeah, I don't really think that I think Flood's like a really, really supportive best friend.
Sure. So
Flood is a dog that just lives to be petted.
but doesn't Flood also kind of like work against you a little bit? Here's what's happening for me.
Okay.
Is that I have played very little Sunshine,
Uh-huh.
but I've played a lot of Banjo-Kazooie. So in my head, I'm giving Flood Kazooie's personality.
And that's not
that can't possibly
that's not
be
the
right.
case. I also don't think that Flood has like family or anything. There's not lots of Floods.
But
He's
talks
not like
to you, right?
Yeah. In the
Okay.
same way that like Siri talks to you.
I don't think that's true. I think it has a brain. I think it knows what's happening, and it is happy to be cleaning up Isle Delfino with you.
Okay. Premise grant. All of that is true. I think
Here's what we've determined. We've
Okay.
determined that Flood is not Siri and it is not Kazooie. Somewhere between Siri and Kazooie is Flood.
Yes. But Flood is not magic. Like Flood is a scientific invention.
Sure. Yes.
Um
So is R2D2.
That's true. It's true. Yeah. Okay.
So is Flood really a droid from the Star Wars universe?
That is not for this episode to
No,
decide.
it's not
That's
for
for a
us to
future
decide on this
episode.
episode, right?
Okay. I like Sunshine a lot. Couldn't have told you that Mario was rolling up his sleeves until we really looked into it. I think Flood is interesting. But it's kind of like the equivalent of giving Mario a 10-gallon hat and then being like, well, we really like that 10-gallon hat, so
Sure.
we're gonna rank
He's got a new
Sunshine hat high.
like Malibu Stacy.
Like Malibu Stacy. I would put it up personally, and I'm just admitting this because I do have affinity for Sunshine. I would put it above Land 2, but below RPG.
Above Land 2, below RPG. Now I put it below 3.
Okay.
So comparing it to Land 2, I think Land 2 still gets a lot of that Super Mario World shine for me. And then the Super Mario Brothers 2 and I just think both of those are better. I think both those are more like well, I don't know, because he does still look like Mario.
And I do think we're going to run into this problem a little bit with the 3D Marios. So when we talk about like Galaxy and New Super Mario Brothers, is that in this era, like Sunshine is really, to me, the first time that Mario just started looking like Mario.
Yeah.
And we continue to get refinements on that look and slight variations. But like the difference between Sunshine Mario to me and like New Super Mario Brothers Mario,
Not
in
that
my
great,
mind, they
yeah.
all kind of look the same. And so, but before this, we were in an era where Mario could look different every time.
Yeah.
But we kind of reached the era where Mario, for the most part, just looks like Mario.
Well, okay, let's discuss the following. There are, and these are all like the modern 3D Mario, where part of the design is also him being with another character, be it Flood, Aluma, or Cappy, right?
Mhm.
All these things, I'm asserting now, have souls. And they have specific wants, right? They are frequently in line with Mario and they travel with him the whole time, but like an element of his design is their design.
Yeah, Cappy for sure.
Right.
Luma's, yeah.
You don't think Lumas have souls?
I think Lumas have souls. We can agree on that.
Okay, great.
We can agree on that.
But so I guess like my question there is, do they get like shunted off into a sub galaxy where they are Mario and this character that he's never without?
Okay, so if I'm following you,
Yeah.
because I kind of like this idea, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So basically what we would do is we would take Sunshine, Galaxy, and Odyssey.
Yes.
We would do a ranking between them,
Right.
but then we would almost like collapse that
Right.
into a single entity.
Right. And
that is
put
like
that entity
3D Mario, basically.
Right. So sort of undoing the separation that we did, but still ranking those designs within them because they are different.
Yes. So, and then putting that combined ranking into our overall list.
Right. So it's a pocket dimension, but we put a portal to the pocket dimension in this ranking.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I-
Let's rank the pocket dimension. Then.
I think that's right. For my money, of course, because I like Sunshine, would go Odyssey, Sunshine, Galaxy.
And I would go Odyssey, Galaxy, Sunshine. I think Odyssey is the undisputed top of this.
Yeah.
Just because he's freakishly detailed. He's got so many individual hairs, it's distressing.
You got that like one strand
Yep.
of gray hair up at the front.
Yeah, and also just like Cappy himself is like fun and expressive in a
Mhm.
way that neither Flood nor the Luma really are in Galaxy or Sunshine. So really, the only part of this that I genuinely care about is Odyssey being on top. If we can
Agree-
put Sunshine number 2, that's fine.
Okay, great.
And then where do we put this pocket dimension?
I would put it towards the top. It's hard.
Okay.
I feel like it's we should talk about New Super Mario Brothers because
And Mario and Luigi here, because that's all we have left, really.
Yeah. Okay. Let's tackle Mario and Luigi first.
Okay, great.
So this is one where I need to look up real quick what the in-game sprites look like, because the pieces that you and I were talking about that were storybook
Yes.
are outside the parameters of this episode, which we
That's
said
true.
were in-game.
Yes.
And my memory is that the in-game is similar to Super Mario RPG, but a little bit better because it's on newer hardware, but kind of that same design.
So it is similar, but it is definitely rocking the. This is speaking of Mario and Luigi, another like impossible thing to Google on the fly. But yeah, it's they do look more like kind of cartoony, than the other Marios. Like their proportions are still sort of like stretched like that.
Okay, so this is, I believe,
Yeah, show me what you got.
I believe this is the 3DS remake.
Yeah, we just got a little graphic of them running around a town square. It's Dream Team, so that's 3DS. Yeah, it's tough because you're right. I am mostly letting my view of them from like the cover of the game kind of override the in-game sprites. Here's from Partners in Time. You know, see their little like battle sprites there.
Oh yeah, okay. So Partners in Time looks more distinct, and that's more what I think of when I think of Mario and Luigi.
Yeah. Me too.
Like a little more splitting the difference between a 3D model and kind of like Paper Mario almost, because they have that thick, almost like cartoony.
Yes,
like,
they definitely have a
outline.
thicker outline. But I think not as good as the Paper Mario design.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty high up, but let's kind of start there. So less than Paper Mario brings it up against 64. Better or worse than 64?
64 is more distinct. It sticks in my mind.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Super Mario RPG. Now we're kind of lumping these things together, right? Like they're kind of the same point of comparison.
Yeah.
I think I know I like Super Mario RPG more than I like Mario and Luigi. So I'm gonna keep moving it down the list.
Yep.
Versus Super Mario Land 2.
I think we share this instinct that I think we're overrating Super Mario Land 2, but it's hard to find a reason to knock it down because it is basically just the world model.
Yes.
But it doesn't feel like it should be as high as it is.
Well, we can address that in a second. Let's instead move Mario and Luigi down to Super Mario Brothers 2, which is better.
I would say Mario and Luigi, I think at this point.
Is better than Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're just leaving Super Mario Land 2 right there for the time being. Although let's do a little. No, because I can't really see bringing it below Super Mario Brothers 2 and Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah,
I think it just belongs up there.
I know. I think the only I think you're right, because I think the only reason to bring it down would be it looks too much like World.
Right.
But
But World right now is sitting on the top of our list.
Exactly. And if you're comparing Super Mario Land 2, the sprite,
Yeah.
to Super Mario Brothers 3, the sprite, I think undeniably Land 2 looks better.
Yeah. I agree with that.
All right.
I agree with that.
Yeah, let's leave its placement.
Okay. New Super Mario Brothers. Let's talk about it.
All right. This is, I think, when you think of Mario,
This is what you're seeing.
this is what you are thinking of.
Right.
And
However,
it is very close
Yes.
to Odyssey.
yes.
Because it all just looks like Mario nowadays.
Well, I don't know. Odyssey still feels pretty distinct to me. The way his nose moves, and you may say, Patrick, that's stupid. His nose like flops around.
Got those nose physics.
in Odyssey. There are no nose physics in other games. It's just, so yes, they're similar, but like New Super Mario Brothers is definitely like just what Mario looks like. And I think it's impossible to separate our view of that design from the fact that we've been inundated with it for the last
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Which both brings it up and down for me. Like in a lot of ways, like I'm tired of it. One of the reasons that I'm so happy about Super Mario Brothers Wonder is that it is a step away from the new design,
Yep.
and in a 2D game.
And I think what I really appreciate about the 2D games is that Mario has looked so different in all
Yeah,
of them, right?
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
kind of took for granted for a long time that you were getting a new art style when you got a new Super Mario Brothers game, and it makes sense that that came to when you're getting like when a new Super Mario Brothers game
It's so hard to talk about.
as in one
Yes.
that didn't exist previously,
Right.
not one in the new Super Mario Brothers series.
But a new one in the Super Mario Brothers series.
Because I mean, so you had about 20 years where Mario looked different every time you saw him.
Yeah.
And then you had an 11-year block that we've been in right now where Mario
Looks the same.
kind of like always looks the same. And so it is exciting that Wonder exists and is something new.
But does that also speak to the like staying power of the new brand or the new design aesthetic where like that's what Super Nintendo World looks like,
Right.
right? And it makes sense and like yeah, this is what this should look like. There's no other design that it should have.
Yeah, especially because in those 11 years, we've been living in a world where 2D and 3D Mario
Right.
shared a really similar aesthetic.
Right.
And so I think, like, I think that is true, and that is a huge point in New Super Mario Brothers' favor.
Yes.
But I think the other piece of it that we can now kind of like go through the exercise is a little bit of our own personal preference. And it's like, well, do we like the new Super Mario Brothers look for Mario more
Right.
than we like the one for Super Mario World?
No is my answer. So our top 4 right now are very Patrick and Mark, right? Super Mario World I think is a shared, we both like absolutely love it. Paper Mario is I think we shared, but it is also like a very Mark pick. Mario 64 is shared but a very me pick. Super Mario RPG is I think shared but a very me pick as well. So I feel like for me, New Super Mario Brothers isn't better than those top 4.
I agree with you. I will say, though, I think Odyssey, and with it its pocket dimension,
Yes.
is better than World. I think
Whoa.
I think that
Pocket Dimension number 1.
I think Pocket Dimension is number 1 because I think this is Mario.
Yeah.
Like World, we have a lot of affinity for, and I think it is fitting that it is so high up. But that game is 20 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think that it really represents Mario.
Hmm.
And I like the Odyssey, and I like the Odyssey Mario.
I love the Odyssey Mario.
Especially like the amount of personality he shows,
Uh-huh.
the different. No, we're not counting them, but the different costumes.
Oh,
and
they're
so,
wonderful,
Like, the
yes.
different aspects of Mario that we get to see,
Look, you put him next to a boombox, he's going to start dancing. None of the rest of these Marios do that.
and so I
That should have been an obvious number 1 from the get-go, right?
and so, but then on the other hand, what we're ranking is like the best Mario design. And so
Right.
that does not necessarily mean that it is the most Mario design.
Yes.
All this is to say, for sure, I think New Super Mario Brothers should go below 64.
But not necessarily below RPG.
Not necessarily below RPG. I don't feel that strongly about it.
Because otherwise, if it goes below RPG, then we run into the Super Mario Land 2 block again, which is like a strange dividing line and a thing that we don't honestly know what to do with.
But then we get I will say the more we put in front of Super Mario Land 2, the more in the middle Super Mario Land 2 becomes, which I think is a fitting placement for it.
Okay, all right.
Because I don't think it should get too high.
Just because it is a
derivative.
Yeah, it's derivative and a monochrome version of the design, which doesn't necessarily make it worse, but like let's be honest, it does. We like color. Color is important in Mario games. Okay, new. Below 64. I can live with it above Super Mario RPG.
Well, and I'm not finding that hard for it to be above RPG. So if you like RPG more, I'm fine putting New Super Mario Brothers below it.
I mean, I love Super Mario RPG. I think if we were ranking the design in the remake, that my approach to it might be I may be able to more aggressively defend it. I do have to acknowledge the like ugly, rare Donkey Kong Country esque method of just like communicating that sprite does bring it down. Which means then Pocket Dimension is Pocket Dimension number 1.
That's okay.
It means that, I mean, and this is not how it works because it's a Pocket Dimension, but it would mean that we have Mario Sunshine as the number 2.
We just can't think of it that way. Here's my hang up.
Yeah.
Is that I think we like Super Mario World Mario more.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
And that is ultimately what this list is supposed to be, is which one is the best. And I think if we're being honest, we think World is the best.
Yeah, I think that's right. So let's put World number 1, and then the portal to the Pocket Dimension number 2.
Uh-huh.
And then within the Pocket Dimension, it goes Odyssey, Sunshine, Galaxy.
Yeah.
Which does not necessarily mean that Sunshine and or Galaxy are better than our number 3 pick.
No, I would say it
Paper
in
Mario.
fact absolutely does not mean that.
Right. Do we need to unpack the Pocket Dimension now, or is the Pocket Dimension? I think this is a great solution. I'm glad that we did this. I just want to explore the possibility that we need to explode it, and
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
The reason I don't think so is because just quickly running through the exercise, we run into the same problem that made us put it into a Pocket Dimension, is because what do you do with Sunshine? Right? Like what do you do with Flood?
Sunshine? Right. Yeah.
I honestly think it would go further down the list, just because, like we don't know if Flood has a soul or not.
Right. That's really tough for us.
That's really tough for us.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he does.
And I don't think so. I think you flip that switch, you turn it off.
We're
Flood
a podcast divided on this one. We're never gonna see eye to eye.
So I feel good about having it in a Pocket Dimension, with the understanding that the Pocket Dimension rankings do not reflect like the overall rankings.
That's right. Other than Odyssey, I think we can say number 2.
Yes.
Yeah, it just becomes like a fork in the timeline, right?
Yeah.
All right. So starting at the bottom with number 15, we got Wrecking Crew.
Number 14, Super Mario Land.
Number 13, Super Mario, or just regular old Mario Brothers.
Number 12, Donkey Kong.
Number 11, Super Mario Brothers.
Number 10, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Number 9, Super Mario Brothers 2.
Number 8, Mario and Luigi.
Number 7, Super Mario Land 2.
Number 6, Super Mario RPG.
Number 5, New Super Mario Brothers.
Number 4, Super Mario 64.
Coming in at number 3, Paper Mario.
Number 2, Super Mario Odyssey.
As part of
there's also a Pocket Dimension
right.
that we aren't speaking of that much, but it is true that within the Pocket Dimension,
right.
Sunshine follows Odyssey and Galaxy follows Sunshine.
Right, so they're like 2A, 2B, and 2C.
Yeah,
right.
Except not because.
Right. Yes, because the ranking of to B is like somewhere nebulously not
Exactly.
against the
It's a
rest of these,
pocket
right.
dimension that is
That's
a
right.
black hole, and so it's really hard to tell what's going on
Sure,
in
there's
there.
an Einstein-Rosenbridge thing happening, and in a different galaxy, these things are ranked just among themselves.
Uh-huh.
And the point at which it intersects with this universe is at Odyssey at number 2.
Exactly.
And at number 1, Super Mario World. All right, Mark, let's close this out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. How'd we do? How did we do in ranking these Super Mario designs? I'm so excited to get Wonder and throw it in here and figure out what the heck we do with it. Write into us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and let us know where you think we messed up. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you to our 16-bit patrons, Connor McCabe, Patrice Millette, and David Hendley. Don't forget, you can join our Discord by sending us an email, and we will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers, saying thank you for listening.